All right, let us welcome Filip Hendrickx. Filip is convinced that established organizations can and should become corporate startups. To help them achieve this, he follows a structured yet pragmatic approach, bridging business analysis, product management, design thinking, lean startup, and innovation techniques. His background of over 10 years in business consulting and a prior 10 years in software engineering and research enable Filip to connect strategy and portfolio management with project execution and product development. As co-founder of the BA and Beyond Conference and IIBA Brussels Chapter president, Filip has been a driving force in fostering the BA profession and community. Filip's dedication was recognized with the 2022 IIBA EMEA Region Volunteer of the Year Award. Together with Ian Richards, Filip is the author of Brainy Glue, a business novel on business analysis, innovation, and change. Filip is also the co-author of the BCS book, Digital Product Management in Cycles, a book, method, and toolkit enabling faster innovation. You can reach out to Filip on LinkedIn, and you can also read his blog, blog.altershape.consulting. And now, without further ado, I will hand over to Filip.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Randy, and thanks again for welcoming me here in the wonderful South Florida region. The weather is perfect. I've been traveling around with the ladies yesterday, enjoying the great weather. Actually, I was here last year in the Orlando, Space Coast, and Miami region with my family. And we had historic rains in Miami, 3 days in a row, rain, rain, rain. So I was really hoping to get some sunshine yesterday, and we did. So the BA indeed is a leader, not as a leader. I will explain you as we go why I believe that's the case, or that should be the case. And let's get started. If there is any hitch, let us know. And Randy's following up on the chat. So if you have any questions or feedback that you want to share or experiences, please also do so online as well as here with us on site. To get started, it's like lunchtime. So maybe we need to kind of loosen up a little bit first. So I would like everyone, both here on site and online, to get up from your seat and stretch a little bit. Get those muscles loose, stretch up. Yes, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Right. I did my morning run, but still I feel a little stiff, so. And you can go as low as you want, not too low. You don't want any accidents. Right. Feels better?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we should do that more often, right? Yeah. Especially when working online the entire day, but even on site when moving around, it still feels good to kind of move a little bit. So thanks for that. You can sit down again. I hope the people online enjoyed that too. So we did more or less what this nice animal did. What we did not do, or what I didn't see anyone do, was this. Why not? Why did you do the easy stuff?
A lot of practice.
Yeah, you need more practice. Yeah. So when we think about leaders, and when we see pictures from leaders, or pictures from leaders doing whatever they are doing in their domain, we often think of or see pictures like this. We think of people like, I'm going to ask you, who do you think of when I ask you to tell me the name of a leader? Give me an example. Who is a leader for you? Which one?
Like managers, like,
Yeah.
executives, sports coaches,
Presidents. So typically people that are fairly high up in our society. And yes, many of them are great leaders. But on the other hand, that is setting the bar very high for ourselves. It's like, do you really believe that you could become a president? Or can you be a leader also at different levels, other levels? I think that's the key point, maybe already now in the presentation. There is much more to leadership than just those people higher up in the society. And so for me, leadership is not necessarily about reaching those kinds of achievements. It's about triggering people to do things. It's about enabling people to do things. And we have to be careful, because if we set an example, it can make people even more reluctant to become a leader or take a leadership action. For example, back in the days when I was consulting at a consulting company and blogging was something new, after lots of thinking and debating, the company started a company blog. And the first 3 blog posts were made by people high up in the company food chain, if you will, smart people that wrote very interesting blog posts. And then they asked all of the consultants to participate. No one dared to participate because they had set the bar in perception way too high. And so the initiative and the intent was good, but from a leadership perspective, it kind of failed a little bit. It took some more time to get people going and to get people kind of over the hurdle to start sharing their own thoughts in our company blog. So, do you consider yourself to be a leader? And people online, raise your hands if you do. And here also, do you consider yourself to be a leader? Yes, with some reluctance. Yes, I think that's right. I think that's right. Everyone can, everyone perhaps even should be a leader. And the focus today is business analysis related, but it's valid in general. And so for me, my personal definition is that a leader is anyone who makes a difference that someone else is willing to follow. You make a difference and someone is following you. You are defined by your followers as a leader, not by the actions you take, but by the impact of those actions to others. And if they can make a change thanks to your example. And if you think you are too small to be a leader, then you are probably wrong. Right?
Yeah.
I think we have experienced this, especially here in Florida, probably, quite a few times. Let me share an example, a personal example, an example from the region where I live. And so I'd be surprised, apart from the Belgian participants, perhaps today, we have 1 or 2 Belgian participants online. I'd be surprised if any one of you knows this village. Let me move here. No, it's really easier to see. Could be, it's a Belgian village. It's a very nice place to visit, very small in nature. Does anyone online happen to recognize the village? No suggestions? I'll give you a hint. Bruges? No. In Belgium, if you are a US citizen, in Belgium, everything is close. It's like I drive 3 hours tomorrow and I'm still in Florida, in the same state. When I drive 3 hours from where I live in Belgium, I've crossed at least 3 countries. And so in Europe, everything is close. So yes, it's close to Bruges, but still it's not Bruges. So it's actually...
That's smart. Robert said he's looking at the concert dates on the
Yeah.
Sure. Oh.
It's actually Werchter. It's a small town at like 20 minutes by bike from where I live. And it has one of the biggest rock festivals in Europe. And it started out as a small youth club event back in the 70s, in 1976. And it grew into a 4-day annual festival with up to, I think, 150,000 individual participants, which is a lot in Europe. And even more so, it was voted best festival of the world multiple times. In the small village of Werchter that no one knew. So today, a little bit by accident, because they didn't intend it to grow this big, but today, Werchter is on the t-shirt of many international rock bands between Chicago and New York and Sao Paulo, all of those major cities, we have Werchter. It's like my backyard, right? That's nice. And that's a way of how leadership can happen. They didn't intend it to grow this big, but it did grow this big by doing something great that people enjoy, that people started following. And by doing something of high quality. And they were voted best festival of the world multiple times for a reason, because the organization of the festival is done very well. And if I now make the link with business analysis, then not even sometimes, I often wonder, did people really think this through? And sometimes it's small things, like I use a lot of two-factor authentication for security reasons. And many times I have to type in the code, but before I can type in the code, I have to click in the first box. Now, on that screen, what are the things you want to do? You want to type in the code. That's the only reason you are on that screen. Why is that first box not auto-focused so that I just can type in the number? Why do I have to click login? Why doesn't it log in automatically after typing in the 6th digit? That's a small thing, but for me, that's an example of the difference between good and great. And for me, that's an example where the BA can kind of raise the bar and say, okay, we need to make this great so that people really enjoy using our piece of software, our solution, whether it's software or a process improvement, doesn't matter. That's a place where we can show leadership, just by sharing, by raising these kinds of topics. And this is a very small example. We can think of bigger examples as well, like, for example, ethics. How many companies today actively think about ethics all the time when they're designing solutions? Not enough. But we are in the position to put this topic on the table and see, okay, in how far are people interested to think about this? How much effort do we want to spend on this? We're not necessarily the person that's going to force this, but we are well positioned to put it on the table and have it as a topic of conversation. It's a place where we can show leadership very easily, I think. So that's a couple of examples. Now, some of you mentioned, okay, yeah, I do feel like a leader somewhat sometimes. How did you become a leader? Can you share that?
I think sometimes you become a leader from the role that you have,
Mhm.
but then also sometimes you become a leader by your feedback that you might offer or you contribute to a goal or objective.
Yeah.
You might become just an subject matter expert or
Yeah.
someone that's influential.
Can be kind of a conscious choice at some point in time, but you can also grow into it naturally, organically, or maybe by accident, by something you say.
Accident.
Yeah.
Find yourself.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, BA for me is the acronym for by accident. I never chose to be a BA, I just kind of rolled into it. And so the same is probably true in terms of leadership for a lot of people among us. And that's good, but on the other hand, it's also tricky, because if it's not a conscious choice, you might not consider the consequences of being seen as a leader. Which leads me to the second question: how does it feel to be a leader? How do you experience it in your day-to-day work?
I get self-conscious,
You get self-conscious.
only because it's like everybody's looking at me as the example,
Yeah,
right? My documentation has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, then nobody has anything to look to for
Yeah.
answers or.
you set the
I
bar,
set the
and you
bar.
know, because where you set the bar, the others should be following, that it makes
They
you very
should be,
conscious
but-
about.
Yeah, that, and it's like, I've set the bar, but I've set it way too high. Because I worked extra hours to get it done. I made those extra phone calls to the specific business users to allow me to build that document in a time frame that was kind of unattainable,
Yeah,
but I did it.
And that's a balance. Then you did an extra effort to set the bar high enough, but on the other hand, while you want people to follow, you don't want people to burn out, and that's a
Right.
difficult challenge to manage as a leader, whether it's a formal or an informal leadership role.
Right.
That's a difficult balance that you might not think about upfront. You might only realize it as you go. That this is kind of tricky to get right.
Robert also
Yeah.
says something online, he says, I feel like every occasion that I play yes and is a small expression of leadership, and it includes some vulnerability.
Absolutely, the yes and that Robert mentions, yes, it includes, it shows some vulnerability, some authenticity, I might add, which makes you a better leader, a more impactful leader, I think. Yes, that's a good point. Absolutely. Thank you, Robert. So if I combine these things that I've just mentioned, I think this is a call for selective, exceptional, and conscious leaders. Selective, we choose where we want to lead. You can't lead on every domain. You can't lead on every aspect. If we lead as a BA, are we leading in terms of getting better documentation? Are we leading in terms of topics that we want to raise, like ethics, or like security, or like user friendliness? Because you need some focus in order to get your impact, in order to get people to follow you. It's exceptional. We want to raise the bar at some point in time for certain things. We want to go from good to great in order to have that impact. And finally, it's conscious. We need to be aware of the fact that if we will be perceived as a leader, there will be consequences. And we have to, it's good to think about these upfront. What are those consequences, and are we ready for them? Are we ready to take those sometimes difficult decisions? Because you can be a leader by accident, but then you will probably stumble upon these consequences, and that might be a bit more tricky. So those are a few thoughts, a few parts of what I think is a call to action for our leadership, but a conscious call to action. And about understanding that we can all be leaders, as small as we think we are, or as low, quote unquote, as that we think we are in the hierarchy of the organization. At any level, you can make a difference. You can trigger other people to make a difference. Now, in the second part of the talk, I want to express a few more thoughts on how to do this practically. What are the kinds of guidelines, if you will, that we can take, that we can keep top of mind in order to become more effective leaders and become more conscious leaders. And the first question is how to get started. If you decide consciously to be a leader, it might be difficult because it's new, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if people will actually be following you. You don't know what people expect. You don't know if you're good enough. A lot of BAs suffer from the imposter syndrome. Is this good enough? Is this documentation actually good enough? Because it can always be better. So there is actually a very simple process to follow if we have these concerns. And BAs like process diagrams, so I was lucky enough to find a process diagram to help us with that. It's as simple as this. Right? If you wait until the point that you are 100% comfortable, you're probably too late. Then the impact will come too late, or then someone else will have already having a different influence, which may not be the influence that you like. And there is a simple way to learn. This is nice in theory, but to learn how to practice it. And I'll give you an example with my book. And so, as you know, or you maybe not know, I have written together with Ian Richards, yes, you know, because you have read in the introduction by Randy. Together with Ian Richards, I've written a book on business analysis, which was a lot of effort, but it was fun to do, and we learned a lot from it. And you can get one right here, right now. At least if you're here in person.
I know it's once one.
But you have to get up out of your seat because it's not going to fly to you. So
I'll definitely get one.
there you
Thank
go.
you.
It's that easy. Get up and get going. And for the people online who unfortunately could not get a paperback copy, send me a message on LinkedIn. I want your book. The first message that comes in will receive a PDF copy for free. I'll check my LinkedIn later on. So I have a second exercise to kind of emphasize the point that I'm trying to make. Could you get up, please? And it's going to be slightly weird because of the way you are dressed. I'm not saying anything else, but still. So I will teach you how to get started as a leader in 3 seconds. And so you follow my lead. I will count down 3, 2, 1, and then I will do something, and you just have to follow my lead. Okay, ready? And the people online, please join us. You can do it just as well. So you get ready, right? You have to be good. This is not a way to be a leader, right? You have to be ready. Okay? 3, 2, 1.
It's okay.
That's it, right? You roll up your sleeves and you get going, just like you got up and you came here to get your book. We think way too much. I think way too much as BAs. Many people, but especially I think BAs, because they think about all the challenges and the difficulties. And we kind of get stuck in what you could call analysis paralysis. But ultimately, it's about getting up, rolling up the sleeves, getting going, giving the example, showing the lead. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. You don't know the exact path, but you bring people along with you and you show them that it's okay not to know everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it something that you say, I do this already every day? Or is it something that you might kind of get better at in just getting going, getting started?
I think improvements always, there's always opportunity to improve. But I think we probably, in a way, is get pushed a lot also as BAs.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just find yourself having to do something new and to figure something out. So combination of the two.
Yeah, it's a bit of a balance. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Thinking about it helps. Is this a point where I feel comfortable enough to get going? Am I kind of getting stuck in thinking about it too hard?
Right.
Or is there still some kind of important thing to analyze before rolling up my sleeves?
Mhm.
But let it be a conscious decision, not something that happens by accident. Okay, you can sit down again. So far, the movements of today's talk. Now it's sit back and relax. So when to get started? Right here, right now. And this also reflects onto the 2 songs that we had that I had to pick, that you pick from at the beginning, and right here, right now from Fatboy Slim, but also a little less conversation, a little more action from Elvis makes a lot of sense. Now, the next kind of guideline, I am a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger for multiple reasons. As a teenager, when Terminator 1, the first Terminator movie came out, I was addicted. I kind of loved the dedication, the focus, the determination of this machine. Admittedly, the purpose, you could argue about how valid that purpose was, but I really loved how we portraited this machine that just would not stop for anything. And I even, up to the point, I haven't shared this a lot yet, but up to the point that I sometimes mimicked his kind of behavior. I mean, you see the resemblance, right? Absolutely. I kind of mimicked his behavior in front of the mirror because I was so impressed by how kind of impactful the robot was. And later on, I discovered a lot about Arnold Schwarzenegger as a person, as an actor. And I know that at some point in time, he was on the phone with James Cameron before, when James was considering Arnold as a main character for the Terminator 1 movie. And James asked Arnold, so you want to be an actor. What kind of actor do you want to be? What's like your process as an actor? And Arnold replied, no, James, I don't want to be an actor. I want to be a movie star. He was bold. He was a BA. He was maybe a bold analyst. Maybe we need to be more of a bold analyst. Because you can say as a person, I would like to get, for example, that certification, which is great. But the impact that comes after having the certification is really what we should be going for. Will this certification give you a new project or a new job, some kind of new opportunity? Will it help you lead other VAs into also getting certified and increasing their knowledge? So thinking about achievements is great, but what is the impact behind those achievements that we want to get to? And how bold dare we to be as a BA, in our role as a BA? How high do we want to set the bar for ourselves? Are we conscious about that? I'm getting a message here, so I'm just quickly checking a low battery. This is an iPhone, so you might want to
Oh, is it me?
plug in the iPhone
Yeah.
just to make sure it doesn't die on us. So be bold. What impact will you have? Think about this. You are doing things, you are leading consciously or unconsciously. What impact are you having on people? A third point is the stage. We are all on a stage. And you don't actually need to take the stage because you are already on the stage. But you do need to own the stage. Let me see if I, right? You do need to own the stage. That's just, is it, oh, do you need some help? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't.
No problem. Just a technical. There we are.
Okay,
Let's see.
perfect.
I would expect it to go, yes, there seems to be some, yes, I think we're good.
Great, thank you.
Battery is recharging. And again, I'll give you an example. As a BA, one of the things that we do is running meetings, facilitating meetings, right? At the moment that you get up from your seat and you take the marker and you go to the whiteboard or the flip chart, you are on the stage. The question is, are you conscious of the fact that you are on the stage? Conscious enough to decide that you will be owning the stage? Because at that point in time, you are holding the pen and people are giving you input and you are writing it down in words, in diagrams, whatever. But you can add your flavor to it. You can add your interpretation to it. We are not just people that write down literally what other people are saying. We are trying to analyze things, bring things together, combine things, challenge things. And so when you are holding the pen, and whether it's on the flip chart or you're writing a PowerPoint presentation or some kind of documentation, because you are the person that's holding the pen, you have a lot of power. And with that power, you can show leadership. And I think we often underestimate how powerful that position is. We can influence things by rephrasing things, by ordering things in a certain way, by facilitating the meeting to get the input that we need, by adding ethics as a topic of conversation to the relevant meeting instead of not mentioning it. And so we have to be aware of the fact that we don't need to take the stage. In the role that we have, we already have the stage, we are already on the stage. The question is, can we own the stage? And people won't be surprised if you do. For example, when we started out, or they may be surprised, but they will follow your lead. I think that's a better way of phrasing it. When we got started, I got everyone up and moving in strange ways and bending around. Now, you may have frowned upon it, but you all did it. Because you follow my lead, because I'm here on the stage. It's normal. You didn't question my question, right? So you have the stage, but you need to own it. You are on the stage, but you need to own it. And you need to be conscious of that as a BA. Does that make sense? Does it something like you say, okay, I can apply this? Where would you apply it? Like tomorrow in a meeting or?
Especially in meetings.
Yeah.
I think you have to be pretty confident dealing with stakeholders, analysis meetings, solicitation.
Yeah. And thinking about this upfront consciously, okay, I will be on stage, virtual stage. How do I own the stage? What is the impact that I want to get? Linking back to the previous slides. And how am I going to lead the group to generating that impact? And I like to reuse a phrase that I've learned from Robert, who is also online. That is not about bang the table leadership. He makes the difference between bang the table and set the table. We don't need to decide everything. but we set the table so that people together come to the conclusion and we kind of facilitate the meeting in certain directions that we feel are important, so that as a group we can co-create this. Another point that I think, another guideline that I think we need to be more conscious of is the uniqueness we all have. And I come back again to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, as you probably know, is an Austrian guy. When he came to the United States, he had a very bad accent, but he still wanted to be an actor. And at that time, people like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino were very famous actors, relatively small people, thin people, very good character actors. And then you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, this big guy with a very bad accent that wanted to be an actor. That didn't make sense at all. It was even that bad that in the first movie they recorded with Arnold, they had a voiceover because people here in the United States could not understand him. It was that bad. So did he learn to speak English much, much better? Did he learn to lose his accent as an Austrian guy? He didn't. He turned his uniqueness into an asset because it was the perfect accent to play a robot. Right?
Yeah.
So we may have certain characteristics that initially you might think, this is not so good, this is not helping me. I'm doing a lot of talks in English, but I did not try to remove my accent. And in a way, it's a bit of an advantage because people are more, how do I say this? People are a bit more welcoming to the fact that I sometimes struggle. It's part of being authentic as a speaker, right? So you can turn those unique aspects into advantages. But again, we have to think consciously about it. What are the things that make you unique and how can you turn that into something that makes you a better, a more impactful leader? And then finally, I have to also talk about pizza. Do you notice anything specific about this pizza? There's pineapple on it. Yes. Who thinks pineapple on a pizza is great? Raise your hands. We have 2 people here in the room that say it's great. Robert says it's great too. Well, Robert is from Chicago, and in Chicago you have deep dish pizza. That's even another category. So I'm not going to go into that. Who thinks pineapple on a pizza is like horrible? Non-appetizing. Yeah, okay, so it's kind of in the middle.
I don't think it's horrible. I prefer pineapple cold.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
that's where it is for me.
you prefer it cold, not on a hot pizza. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
No.
Susan says no,
That's
no
horrible.
pineapple, horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take it off though. If it's on the
Yeah.
pizza, I'll leave it on because I don't want the cheese coming off with it.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's conditional.
That's a good point. Yeah, it depends. So in my case, it's very easy. And the reason it's easy is that my wife is half Italian. At our household, we do not, I repeat, we do not put pineapple on a pizza. That is sacrilege. If I do pineapple on a pizza, I can leave the house and I do not have to come back. I am not kidding you. It is holy and there is no such thing as pineapple on a pizza. It's about values. You can argue as a rational BA whether it makes sense or not, but there is a very strong value that says to certain people that it is not done and other people, they don't care. And when we lead people, we have to be conscious about their values because you can't change people's values, right? Luckily, there is an easy way to tackle this, which is
Oh, no.
Kiwi.
I don't
Really?
think that's an option.
Kiwi?
so what's the point here? If you have a common enemy,
Yeah.
the values that are different don't matter that much anymore. You both fight together to get rid of the common enemy. So that's an easy way to align people around the common goal. Because we can ditch the values. There is another thing that is more important to kill now, which is the kiwi.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, that technique only works for a short while. It's like my wife and I have different, so we have 4 children, which is why I travel a lot for work. My wife and I have some similar and some different values in raising children. Like she's more about caring and I am more about independence. And sometimes that gets into conflict. But if our children are not behaving well, we forget those value differences and we will quickly work together to make sure they behave again. Right? But those are things that work in the short run. In the long run, you need to find ways to kind of get those values aligned. And it's not about making sure people share the same values, because that's not going to happen. Most teams, people are diverse and you want that diversity. But you should think about how can we align the values to the purpose that we need to work towards together. How can everyone contribute something that is aligned with their values and that helps us all get closer to our goal? So for example, when I run our IIBA chapter, people are in there for different reasons. And for some people, it's really about knowing more and more about business analysis and sharing that knowledge. For some, it's about networking with the community. For some, it's about getting exposure online. Hey, I'm also a chapter leader. Now, those values may be different for different people, but if you can find ways how everyone can contribute something aligned with their values, it's going to help your chapter move forward or your team move forward. For example, if I can find ways that the other team member that is really focusing on getting exposure helps us get him to give our chapter exposure and him on at the same time, then that's a win-win. So can I find ways to align personal values with our purpose as for us as a team? So putting all of these things together, it's about making a dent, making a difference, raising the bar, consciously deciding where we want to raise the bar, be bold about it. What is the impact that you are trying to achieve? No, correction. What is the impact that you will achieve? Own the stage, leverage your uniqueness, and align values and purpose. And all of these things together, I find useful as kind of guidelines to think more consciously about where, when, and how do I want to be a leader from within my BA context. Does that make sense?
100%.
Sorry?
100%.
100%. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't always work like this. So you might try it. You might try to take the marker and run the meeting on a flip chart and it ends up in chaos. It happens. The question then is, how do you react? How do you respond? So let's see what Arnold Schwarzenegger would do.
In the case of the Terminator, as well as
I probably need to do it like this.
I'll be back.
So you couldn't hear it. I don't know, there is nothing. It's up all the way. I'm not sure why it's not. But let me play it again. I think you know what he's saying.
I'll be back.
I'll be back, right? It will not work the first time maybe, but you will be back with a vengeance. And do it again. Because that's also part of the learning curve. How do I get better as a leader, more impactful as a leader? And funny, to end, there is an interesting story behind this scene. Now I have to check if I can get the volume right and see if it works. I might have to, for some reason, I think it's taking the volume here on the mobile phone, so I'm going to let me see if I can get it to work.
in the case of the Terminator, as well as you understood the character, you almost blew your most famous line.
So I don't know. Could you perhaps try with the volume on your laptop that we can hear it here? I'm not sure why it's not working here.
I'll be back.
You wanted to make the line, I will.
So let's not spend too let's not spend too much time on getting the technicalities right. I can share the link to this fragment later on. They actually discuss how the line came to be. And Arnold's comment when he read the script his comment to James Cameron was, I'll be back, I'll be back. That doesn't sound, well, it doesn't sound powerful when I say it with my Austrian accent. And anyway, a robot would never say, I'll be back. He would say, I will be back. And they had a kind of discussion back and forth about it. And at some point in time, James said, you are the actor, I am the writer of the script. I decide, I hold the pen. Okay, and the line became famous. So again, hold the pen. In summary, be bold, make a dent, and in case you're wondering, right? Just get going, roll up the sleeves and get going. I don't know if people online can see it, so I'll get a bit closer to the camera. Okay, thanks very much for your attention and for your interaction, and let me know how you fare.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, people online.
Yeah, do we have any questions? I'm gonna just speak a little bit louder. I know Robert had a comment about, I think that was when you showed the pizza with a kiwi. He said, what's the phrase, uncommon bedfellows, having a common enemy. But does anyone have any questions or what questions to ask Philip about leadership or any topic, his book or experience or anything that we covered today?
Questions, comments?
I don't know if they
And if not, feel free to get in touch.
Well, I have a question. What
Yeah.
are you, you're going to BBC and you're speaking, right? What are you speaking on at BBC?
I'm doing a workshop together with Fabrizio Laguna on Nimble. So the ability to sense and respond to change as an organization. And I have a talk on perfecting your pitch using a facilitation technique called ritual descent. So it's a way to get very quickly, within like 30 to 60 minutes, improve a pitch that you make to pitch an idea and convince people to get along with you, to jump kind of on the train with you.
Anyone else? You guys have any questions, thoughts? This was great. I really enjoyed it. Oh, we have a couple questions. Yeah, I think everyone, Robert says, here's a fun rallying cry. Some business analysts make history, others watch it on Netflix. And then Jessica says, thank you, Philip. I just started my career as a system analyst. This session was very motivating. Looking forward to more of these.
Absolutely. Yeah, wonderful comments. Good luck with that.
Yeah, so I just say, yeah, I don't think anyone, I don't know if anyone can really hear what I'm saying, but
I don't know, can you hear Randy? Because we...
let me just go over
Yeah.
there, I guess, that might be easier. Hi, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and close. Thank you so much for attending and joining. Thank you so much, Philip, for coming. And we hope that you all join us next month for our session with Mr. Robert here, Mr. Robert Snyder. And you can learn more about our upcoming events on southflorida.iiba.org. But thank you again for joining us and see you next time. Oh, was that like a
thumbs up?
Yeah, okay. All right, I don't know.
Yeah, we can close. Yeah.
Hi, Robert. Oh, that was Dagnar. I don't know who that was.